I'm an American. I am an American. My parents' loyalty and devotion to their adopted country was vigorous and strong. My father cherished copies of the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution of the United States. On national holidays, he hung with great pride an enormous American flag on our front porch, even though at the time this country declared the first-generation Japanese immigrants to be aliens, ineligible for citizenship. This meant that Japanese were not hired for professional work during this time. Though my father received his degree in engineering from University of Nevada and California, Berkeley, he instead had to become a life insurance agent. Despite this, my parents emphasized that our education was a top priority and encouraged us to study hard and get top grades. That night, Papa burned the flag he had brought with him from Hiroshima 35 years earlier. It was such a beautiful piece of material. I couldn't believe he was doing that. He burned a lot of papers too, documents, anything that might suggest he still had some connection with Japan. Papa himself knew it would only be a matter of time.
When the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, our west coast became a potential combat zone. Living in that zone were more than 100,000 persons of Japanese ancestry, 2/3 of them American citizens, 1/3 aliens. We knew that some among them were potentially dangerous.
As tensions grew during World War II, Japanese Americans wondered when they would be brought in. Executive Order 9066 authorized the Secretary of War to prescribe certain areas as military zones, clearing the way for internment of Japanese Americans to concentration camps in the United States. My family was forced to move out of our home. They told us each person could have 2 suitcases, but I wasn't big enough to carry even one. My brother offered to carry an extra suitcase for me as we made our way to the train station. As we arrived at the camp, I could see a high barbed wire fence surrounding the entire area with guard towers looming over us. They moved my whole family into a horse stall. Without a structure for educating newly processed children, the government quickly made the children work full-time shifts in factories. They don't have any schools for us. During the first year, teachers had been volunteers, equipment had been makeshift, classes were scattered all over camp, in mess halls, recreation rooms, wherever we could be squeezed in. There are 500 children that need teaching here. Sometimes there are over 60 students learning from one teacher. My parents are worried about our education and what's going to happen once we're finally able to leave this place. Some of the older Japanese Americans in the camp started classes for students, but they said we couldn't be trusted to speak Japanese. They said we could be spies or terrorists. This made it difficult for many of the older Japanese Americans to communicate with each other, and we had to teach many of them English. We couldn't even use Japanese textbooks. I was given a job at Berkeley to be in charge of admissions to appease Asian Americans. Many people were not so lucky and were unable to get the same jobs that they had had before the internment camps, and oftentimes they were paid 9 to 13% less. Asian Americans have suffered. I have suffered. Unfortunately, this war story is usually overlooked in American history. Our children are deprived of the history of their nation, especially Japanese Americans. Too often, this war story is abridged to fit within the confines of 3 short textbook pages, referring to Japanese exclusion as relocation. If this trend continues, we could be doomed to repeat the mistakes of our past.